All right, so let's look at one of the powerhouses of the past, Sydney FC. But last year it wasn't the case, and they missed the finals, and on a very disappointing seventh place finish. Their record was 10 wins, 7 draws, 9 losses. They did have the second highest average crowd of 15,282, and we'll have a little bit of hindrance at the start of the season with Allianz going under construction with the drainage, forcing them away, going to obviously Leichhardt and some games in Cogger, I believe. They missed the finals despite needing just 1 point from their final 2 games to qualify. And that really shows me a poor mentality with those last 2 games that they couldn't get themselves in there. They had a star studded team, failed to deliver on the field, and just didn't gel at all levels, I think, with Sydney FC last year. They also had the chance to make the final of the ACL2 competition, but fell in the semi final. So a really disappointing finish to last year. Talay is definitely a man under pressure, and we've seen that in the media and all the comments come out. But he seemed like he found it hard to find that balance and of his talented youth team and his big name stars. He did concede the second most goals amongst the top 9 teams, and they're very vulnerable at the back. We did see a really good preseason performance with them against Wrexham, and we've seen some good young players there, but we've seen a penalty shootout loss in the Hahn Cup as well. But this is really the big question mark on this team. Where do they fit in A League season 2025 2026? Let's break it down, Chief. What changes have they made?
I think Ufuk Talay is under a huge amount of pressure. If they do not start well, I could see some changes at Sydney FC. I'm just going to stick my neck out there and say that one. Al Hassan Toure, I think that's a good pickup for them if he can find his best form. Patrick Wood comes back from his loan at Perth Glory. He's kind of been on the fringes there at Sydney for a few seasons now. I think they hoped he would have got some more game time and some more goals at Perth Glory last season, but didn't happen for Patrick Wood. So we'll see how he gets on. Reece Hewley comes in back from overseas, which I think is a fantastic pickup. Macaulay Con comes across from the Western Sydney Wanderers. Matthias McAllister gets promoted through their academy. Paul Okonengsler is massive signing for me. I think he's going to have a fantastic season in that midfield. Marcel Tisserand comes in at the back for plenty of experience. Pierre Kispe is on loan. Could be a really exciting number 10 in their midfield. Victor Campzano also comes in. Abel Wallity was picked up from Western United, exciting young talent. And then Ben Garuccio gets picked up late. So they already had a couple of options there at left back in terms of Joel King and Jordan Courtney Perkins. So I would expect Garuccio to start there, but wonder what that means for King and Courtney Perkins. I guess we'll have to wait and see. A few big outs as well. Patrick Klamala, their striker from last season. That was the end of his loan. Andrew Redmayne didn't play a lot last season, but he's gone to the Mariners, obviously. Joshua Sotirio came in during the season, but that was the end of his loan. Kucharski goes out. Max Burgess didn't play a lot or at all last season anyway. Arnis Wahim was a talent that I'm going to miss. Segacic, he was used as a super sub by Ufuk Talay. He's obviously gone to Portsmouth. Caceres, I think that was the end of his contract, that they couldn't come to terms. He's gone to MacArthur Bulls. Leo Senna's a big miss, I think, that I think he could have really combined well with Paul Oakland-Engsler in that midfield. So see if they can replace him. Aaron Gerd has gone out on loan, even though he's still on the books of Sydney FC. Douglas Costa, the big superstar, has not returned. Whether he's a big out or not, I suppose, it depends on which way you look at it. He had his injury concerns last season, certainly when he was on the field. Some great moments of brilliance, but I don't know, in a funny way, I think that not having all these superstars might be of benefit to Sydney FC this season. Also out is Will Kennedy. And then they've made some good re-signings. Keeper Gus Huslett, Alex Green at the back, Camijo in their midfield, and then Ryan Grant as well are the big ones. So I think a lot of outs, a lot of ins. You could argue probably either way on how influential both sides are, but certainly a lot of changes for Ufuk Talay to deal with.
I agree with you though. I think it need to refresh. You could see it there that it need to reset last year. The mentality just wasn't right. The balance wasn't right. But a lot of youth that's come into this side. You've got four Socceroos that have been around Socceroos, which is Ryan Grant, Alex Grant, Joel King, and Paul Ocon. Paul Ocon yet to start, but was in the Socceroos camp last year. Look, I'm super excited about Paul Ocon. You know what a big rap that I've been talking him up for a long time. I think this could be a key midfield addition, and I think Yuli will be exciting as well. They've already got some exciting players, and I think the spirit and the let them play. I think it'll be exciting. I think what you've got down there with Yuli, Ocon, McAllister, Quintal. They're sensational up and coming players, and we've seen against Wrexham they just play with so much freedom, and some of the best football I've seen Sydney FC play for a while, rather than that mixed kind of balance that they were trying to find last year. But you've got some comments, so on that send us some information, Chief. Do you want to pass that one on?
Yeah, it was JB on X who has said that Diogo Quintal, Matthias McAllister, and Paul Oakley are the ones to watch for this season. Certainly ones that we agree with as well. His hopes are that the youngsters get a lot of minutes and develop, and his fear is that Talay's tactics will cost us defensively and he might alienate another player like he did with Burgess and Senna. So let's hope that's not the case for Sydney FC, and hope that he backs some of those young players to develop throughout the season. As you mentioned, that Wrexham game, we saw the likes of Joe Lacey, who's another one that we're going to keep an eye out for. He scored the winning goal in that game. Yeah, you mentioned the boys before, but I'll throw in as well Abel Wallacey, who's come across. So another exciting young talent to keep an eye out for. So lots and lots of potential. I prefer Sydney FC when they're not looking at that star-studded approach and it's more of a team mentality. But I guess we'll see how that pans out during the season. JB's got as top six minimum, and you can see them coming between third and fifth realistically. So thanks for your feedback, JB. Looking at their first 5 games, mop up. They started out the first game of the entire season at Cooper Stadium against Adelaide United. So that's absolutely going to be an absolute bumper crowd there at Cooper's Stadium. They then take on the Mariners, the Jets, Cartha, and Victory. One thing I did note that they only actually have to travel out of New South Wales once in their first 7 games, and that one is their first game when they head to Adelaide. So between rounds 2 to 6, they're exclusively in New South Wales. So I think that's going to help them a lot in terms of the lack of travel. Of course, they had ACL2 to compete in last season as well. So I think for them to be able to settle into the season, that's going to be a big advantage.
Your prediction, my friend?
I have them in 5th. I think they're going to, as I said, I like it. I like Sydney FC when they're not bringing in these high profile players. And I think in a funny way that not having Costa is actually going to be more beneficial. He might not, he's obviously going to bring the bums on seats, but I think as a team, they're going to work a lot better without a focus on a superstar.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot of run in them. I think their football's going to be good and exciting. And look, I think Talay's probably lucky he's got a good draw there to start with to build some of that confidence. They'll obviously be tested in those first few weeks whether he's the right man for the job or not. But they'll need to get off to a good start, and I reckon they'll only just sneak in. I like I said, I think 5th down to 10th is very open, and it's going to be come down to small margins. So we wish the Sydney FC fans all the best, and they'll be no doubt looking forward to getting their ground back as well. But Leichhardt will obviously do a good job in supporting them while that happens. And JB, all the best for your team this year.